Down at the bottom left-hand corner of the map, Antiga Shipyard, we have our red Terran player from Team Liquid, their third Korean player, fourth player overall. It is TaeJa. And his opponent in the upper right-hand corner, probably worn out after that last game, but the winner of 3 straight for Prime, it is our Teal Zerg player, Annyeong.
Yep, and I am excited, man. I mean, we've seen Annyeong.Prime take out Zergs. We've seen him take out Protoss. We'll have to see what he can do against Terran now. And TVZ has just become such a fascinating matchup to me right now because of what Terrans have been trying to do in the early game, you know, specifically to handle what Zergs have been doing. You know, getting more queens than usual really quickly, using that queen range to kind of shut down any sort of early Hellion and Marine aggression. So what is TaeJa going to choose to do? We've seen a lot of Terran players actually try mech lately. Some Terran players like Jockji we just saw last night in the GSL, their control is so good that they can still rely on that very, very large Marine count style that SC kind of popularized way back when he was SC FOU before he moved to MVP and FOU became FXO. So I'm really curious to see what TaeJa's going to do this game, kind of above everything else.
Now, TaeJa was actually in Fight Club not too long ago.
That's right.
In fact, he was our champion. He knocked out Creator.Prime. So we said it was kind of a preview of this match, if you will. And he knocked out Creator, but then fell to Marine King in the next week. So he's had mixed success against the Prime players recently, and we'll see what he can offer against Annyeong here.
Yeah, that match versus Marine King, that Fight Club match, was a little bit surprising to me. I feel like TaeJa's a little bit better than what we saw in that best of 9, because before that, he actually had a winning record versus Marine King in games and matches overall. So I feel like TaeJa, you know, that wasn't the best representation of his skills. We'll have to see if he can impress us here in this game today.
That's right. It is hatch first for Annyeong. No surprise there. Following that up with Spawning Pool afterwards is going to be a 1-Rex gasless fast expand for TaeJa. We'll see if he decides to move into a quick double gas, though, to catch back up on those. I mean, kind of standard order of the day we've seen from a lot of players recently is 1-Rex gasless fast expand, double gas, put down the factory, third command center, maybe Banshees, and then kind of open up an attack afterwards. So
yeah, kind of the two things we've been seeing is, like you said, the fast expand, usually gasless, couple more barracks a lot of times, and then with that, a fast third command center to try to take advantage of the fact that your opponent's playing passive as well. The kind of flip side to that is what we've seen players like, for instance, EG Puma do the other day in the Team League, where he went for Cloak Banshees and a Raven early on to add on a couple Hellions to that as well to do some harassment up at the front that's much more effective. Little bit later third base, but the trade-off is that you do get to kind of control the creep spread and potentially do some economic damage that you just can't do anymore with a plain old reactored Hellion build. So two very different ways of playing the matchup right now, and we'll have to see what TaeJa decides to do.
And TaeJa's going to go for the third command center before any sort of gas. About to say he hasn't taken even just one geyser quite yet, so looks like he is able to chase down that drone and kill it.
Yeah,
so
it's a good place to put it too.
Of course, Annyeong was able to get far enough just to see the edge of the Vespian geyser and saw nothing was being produced on it, so should clue him into what his opponent is doing, and we'll see how he reacts. He himself is going for the 4-queen no gas build, and that's kind of been the order of the day, and the amount of creep spread you get from it is just staggering.
Oh man, it's insane. It's so good. You're able to spread creep so quickly with this. Because remember, you know, if you have multiple creep tumors in one small area, they do make the creep spread, you know, exponentially faster.
That's right.
So so it does kind of serve a lot to have 2 queens spreading creep in this particular situation. That kind of is what leads to the creep moving across the map very quickly. But TaeJa has presented Annyeong.Prime with a bit of a question here, because Annyeong.Prime didn't see that, or was able to see that there was no gas yet when that drone did pop out and do a little bit more scouting. But he wasn't able to get to the side of the base to tell him if there were a few more barracks or if there was a command center. So he still has that kind of, those thoughts floating around in his mind right now. What exactly is my opponent doing? Oh, now he doesn't. Now he knows. He's got the circling in there. He sees that third command center almost done. So never mind. Everything I just said is blown
well,
out of the water
good
completely.
What we can get from that
point,
the importance of good scouting. Well, anyway, so creep spread is starting in style now for Annyeong, and as we can see, he ended up going 3 hatch no gas. So that's a good reaction to what he saw out of his opponents. We'll see how TaeJa wants to follow this up. Tech Lab being started on the barracks. We've seen some players have gone from unupgraded Marines directly into mech afterwards off of several bases. Marine King kind of popularizing it. But TaeJa is certainly a player that can utilize bio very effectively, or that bio mech style.
TaeJa is actually doing what is becoming one of the more common pushes in TVZ. Is actually going to do a a combat shields timing, which is pretty good. Again, this takes advantage of the fact that Zerg doesn't have gas early on, won't have Zergling speed, won't have Banelings. You have very durable Marines with combat shields, and they can actually legitimately do a lot of damage here. So it looks like he's going to send in these early ones and almost pick off a Queen. Oof. Weakening her up for later, but yeah, I think TaeJa, I'm actually surprised he committed so much to that, because normally when you're going for this combat shield push, you kind of want to poke just a little bit and then pull back and save those Marines for a bigger push later on. So
I love this though. I mean, Annyeong going for that 6 Queen build. This is the first time we've seen it in IPL. It's been seen in GSL quite a bit, but I adore it. I mean, just the amount of energy you have available. He can expend some on transfusions, as we saw just there, so a follow-up doesn't kill that Queen. There's actually 4 reactors getting put down at a time right now for TaeJa, so this is pretty insane, the amount of greed that both of these players have. 4 racks getting add-ons, going up to factory and double engineering base, but he's only got 13 Marines on the ground. There's not a single attack unit out for Annyeong at the moment, though. He's just continually investing back into his economy.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see just the power of those Queens. He can afford to just kind of skip Zerglings for a while, use all his larvae on drones. It's ending up to be pretty good. But what TaeJa doing is almost like unit for unit what I watched TaeJa do in GSL Code A last night, actually going for the double upgrades, going for a lot of barracks with reactors and things like that. He'll be adding on some siege tanks later on, but it'll just be very Marine focused. Kind of like I said at the start of the game, that SC style of very heavy Marine TVZ. If you have the unit control that some of these pros have, you can still pull it off very, very well, even throughout the late game.
Especially with some of the stuff that Zerg players have been doing. It may be an interesting counter to what's been out there. But 4 creep tumors at a time on the left-hand side, 3 on the right-hand side, and Annyeong is already through the middle of the map, 9.5 minutes into the game. So just the power of those Queens. We do have Lair Tech coming up along with Baneling Nest, and he is working off of 6 now, actually. Extractors, unfortunately, not harvesting from a 6. There he goes, just started it now, so.
Yeah, this type of build that Annyeong.Prime is doing, what it does is something that a lot of ZVZ builds do. I mean, double upgrades with Ling Baneling, that's nothing new, right? But it's kind of the timings. It's the way that going for those 6 Queens kind of slows everything down. It's just much more economically minded. It entices Terrans, of course, to do sort of the same thing. So what we see is, hopefully not a lot of Zerglings dying. There we go, Annyeong pulling back just in time. But, you know, what we see is essentially a very similar game to what we would see normally, you know, in TVZ, but just stretched out over a longer period of time. You know, the different phases last longer because players are focusing so much on their economy here, too.
And looks like TaeJa losing his Marine there, but he's just reproducing so many at a time now. He's got 52 Marines at 11 minutes into the game. That is a staggering Marine count. He's got great economy, but Annyeong is just reciprocating. I mean, he's got a lot of Zerglings out on the field to stay safe. His creep spread is just insane at this point, and he's already going up to infestors with pathogen glands on the way.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm surprised we don't see TaeJa moving out yet, but there he goes, starting to move across the map right now. Kind of doing, this is really, like I mentioned, the SC style. Gumiho is also a Terran player that got really good at this type of thing, and the way that like TaeJa, MMA, the way that they've sort of polished this build make it very, very scary for a TVZ. And I know I've been talking a lot about mech TVZ lately, but this style that we're seeing right now is a very good, legitimate alternative to mech. And so even though I think a lot of players will be going mech, I think this is going to be just as popular. And it probably feels more comfortable for players too, just because it uses units that more players are used to using in this matchup.
TaeJa going to start scanning and picking off some of those creep tumors, but to quote, that's a lot. Those are so many Banelings. It really is.
How many is it?
So, 38, I believe? Yeah,
that
38. And 105 Lings.
So many Banelings.
That really is. At this stage of the game especially. Man, I mean, TaeJa's getting to the point where he's about to, I mean, he's getting close to maxing at about the 13-minute mark. For a Terran player, that's staggering.
Yeah, man, I mean, he's good. He's got his good macro, and I mean, you need to. If you're going to play this style, you need to really have amazingly good macro. It needs to be on point 100% of the time, and so players like TaeJa can definitely pull that off.
That's right. The only thing he has to worry about is that he's keeping himself supply blocked. The only reason he's not significantly higher than he already is. So here we go. Zergling's starting to move through the middle of the map. Nope, looks like he's just tearing a few off to gain some scouting. A couple of siege tanks are up now. They do have siege mode finished, so he'll be able to use those a little bit.
Here's the thing, is that TaeJa's got a lot of Marines, but his opponent has a ton of Zerglings and Banelings. And so now it's on TaeJa to be able to have that really awesome Marine splitting to survive this push, because here comes Annyeong.Prime. Does TaeJa have what it takes?
Now the Banelings were way behind there, and they are going to start moving up now finally, but it doesn't even look like he wants to commit. That was a slaughter of Zerglings.
Very, very sloppy attack by Annyeong.Prime there to have those Zerglings out way ahead of the rest of his army. That was actually a big mistake. That gives TaeJa a nice amount of breathing room, a nice amount of leverage in this game right now.
That's right, and he's going to drop off a few Marines. Unfortunately, it's going to get cleaned up very quickly. He'll need to pick up there, hopefully soon, and looks like he doesn't lose a Marine in the process. So, taking a look, he's got a lot of Marines well positioned around, but now, of course, okay, I was about to say second layer coming up, unfortunately, for Annyeong, but it looks like he meant more from Hive back at home.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the way, I bet if we could see his hotkeys, we would see that he's got all his hotkeys on one hatchery. A lot of times when you do that, sometimes when you're going through things really quickly, when your APM is very high, you can accidentally build multiple layers. You actually see that happen quite a bit.
And wow, I don't know how that Marine just survived.
I know,
he was surrounded by lings and came back
like, I want
home.
to die!
Yeah.
Oh, the medevacs are like, no.
I'm going to track him as we have this engagement up here. Oh, and it looks like Annyeong is going to try and circle around the forces, but there are a couple of tanks up at least this time, but unfortunately they're not going after Banelings. The Banelings now starting to roll in from behind. Look at TaeJa starting to peel off a few forces here and splitting up, minimizing the damage that's being done to the front line of forces, but Annyeong is just overrunning him at the moment and continuing to push forward.
Yeah, this is the reason why I see this style not quite becoming as popular, is because the control you need to make it work is so incredible. I mean, it really is like Jockji, MMA, MVP, like the top like 0.0001% of Terrans, I feel, have the actual unit control to do this.
I was about to say, I didn't know why TaeJa was, or Annyeong wasn't taking out the rest of those workers, but now he is. We'll see if TaeJa can actually get himself a hatch in return, but the Banelings are starting to roll through and just roll on by. Okay, there we go.
Like, oh, Marines. All right.
Yeah. Those things.
Yep. Well, things not looking too good for TaeJa right now. I mean, he still does have a very large amount of Marines being produced, so he can kind of sit back, get that army again. But remember, in order to win this game, he needs to have the control. He needs to be able to get his army in a good position. He needs to be able to split Marines perfectly on the fly. When you're going up against this many Zerglings and Banelings, you cannot afford to make a single little mistake.
And TaeJa really needs to get himself down a planetary fortress there and start taking control of the middle of the map, and he just doesn't have the units to back it up. But again, this is the power of his macro. Annyeong had a very successful attack there, even killed economy in the process, but TaeJa's still at 142 supply. His opponent's starting to bank a little bit of resources, spent a lot of money on Banelings there for a second, but can now start producing a few Ultralisks if he wants, and in fact is getting the chitinous plating.
Yeah, and I mean, once the Ultras come out, it'll become even more difficult for TaeJa. And I mean, I don't want to sound too down on TaeJa right now. I mean, he still certainly has a chance to win this game. And he's going to need to, like I said, control perfectly. And right now, his army is in kind of a questionable spot at the moment.
And that was not too bad. That actually worked out all right for him. He killed a lot of Zerglings there and didn't lose too much in return. But of course, he re-denies the base in the middle of the map. And Annyeong not really overextending there. Banking resources, putting up Spire as well. And,
he found it. He found the other planetary.
That's right.
That's going to hurt for TaeJa as well, using a lot of mules on that one. Oh, but good job. He's using the opportunity to run up and try to take this high ground. Is the risk going to pay off for TaeJa?
We'll find out. The planetary fortress is going to fall here in just a bit, and he's pushing through the middle now. Banelings starting to roll through. Oh, but look at the target fire from the back tanks there. They actually took out a huge swath of Banelings there, and he splits the forces incredibly well, and he's going to kill a hatchery in the process.
Oh, that is exactly what TaeJa needed to do. That's called taking advantage of an opportunity. Brilliant move for TaeJa, saying, all right, you can have that base. I'm going to use that to get this great position on the high ground. I'm going to shut down your base in the middle. And suddenly, look at this. TaeJa now has the advantage. Brilliant move by TaeJa.
He's up in bases. He's even got a 5th command center sitting around. We're just waiting for a 4th hatchery to finish up now for Annyeong, but this is working out all right for TaeJa. Wow. Incredibly well done. Big turnaround for him, and now he has a pretty powerful position. Planetary fortress up in the middle, well defended by tanks and Marines. Is starting to add on Marauders in preparation for those Ultralisks, so things are looking all right for him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if, I kind of doubt that was something that was planned, you know, putting that planetary there and just kind of mining from it. It could have been. If it was, TaeJa is incredibly intelligent. Even if that wasn't planned, that was still, you know, I'll say it again, that was a brilliant move to see the opportunity that he had when the army for Annyeong.Prime moved over to kill that planetary on the left side, because now that legitimately has given him a very good chance to win this game.
That's right. He's going to have to pick up all his forces, and does. Not losing a Marine there. This hatchery getting pretty low, though, but now TaeJa's maxed, man. He's maxed. Yep. He's sitting on 3/3 upgrades. He's even got +3 weapon Spire to finish up for his mech forces. He's looking pretty good.
89 Marines out on the field. He's adding on some Marauders now that he knows he's going up against Ultralisks. But Annyeong.Prime, like any good Zerg, does have Corruptors and a Greater Spire on the way. You try to wait for your opponent to make too many Marauders, and then you switch over to Broodlords and try to win that way as well. TaeJa, though, maxed out, so we can't quite do that yet. Annyeong.Prime's going to need to have kind of a big fight, force TaeJa to have to choose what units to make again. If TaeJa makes a lot of Marauders, that could be good for a Zerg player.
That's right. So we'll see if... let's see, are they joining any Corruptors? Yes, he is. So, oh, I'm sorry, there was just 8 that popped up at the same time. Those were the first Corruptors on the field. And, of course, now Annyeong is just about max. He has some supply free for Broodlords if he so desires, but, of course, isn't tipping his hand to the existence of the Corruptors quite yet anyway.
You know, I think TaeJa actually got a go with the scan. So he may know that Broodlords are on the way, and he certainly does. He's making Vikings now, yeah. Oh, nice fungals on those Marines.
Yeah, picking off a couple of units there.
Oh, the Infestors on the high ground.
They were cool fungals.
They were, but unfortunately the Infestors had to die.
That's right. So
those cool fungals.
Fair number of tanks, and it looks like, oh, he gets underneath the Broodlords that were morphing in. And in fact, there's only 3 on the way now, so we took out 5 of the cocoons. Baneling's actually hitting quite a few units there, but there's not a lot left to defend. It looks like TaeJa's just going to run right underneath. 3, 2, 1, boom! All of the Broodlords going down.
Oh man, that really hurt Annyeong.Prime right there. Losing those Broodlords without doing a whole lot. TaeJa down to not many Marines, but he's got so many more on the way right now. Oh, those Queens are going to be in trouble.
Oh, that was a slaughter.
Yep.
And the Zerglings are all just dying before they're able to get in. So now, oh, there it is. It's just GG right away. Finally, Annyeong.Prime has gone down. Liquid TaeJa taking a game back for Team Liquid.
Yeah, and I mean, they needed it. Like I said, that was the situation where